Good morning. How are yous? I'm just doing a quick review / demo of a mini sound level meter, standard ST-95. Obviously, I purchased this product to measure sound. It does what it's supposed to, and it does it very well. The price I paid, the quality of the build, I am very happy. I'll go through the spec sheet so that way you know what you're getting yourself into. Give a quick couple of demos and give you my honest opinion on whether this product was worth the money. The reason I purchased a sound level meter is I'm installing a car stereo and I wanted to know what loud is. What the hell? What? Jesus. Bloody hell. What is this? Okay, where on earth was I? Oh, that's right. Okay. Just to get everyone on the same page, most humans hear frequencies between 20 hertz. Think of, low sounds, bass drums and so forth, right up to 20,000 hertz, 20 kilohertz, sounds of cymbals and electric guitars and so forth. The lowest volume of sound we can hear is 0 decibels, which isn't pure silence, but it's the lowest sound we can hear. Pain happens to your ears at about 130 decibels. I don't know about pain, but it's certainly uncomfortable. Continued listening at this range would certainly damage your ears. There are several different ways of measuring decibels. Probably the easiest is actually on your phone. You can just get a quick app. The problem is I'm using my phone. So I bought a decibel meter, a sound level meter. This one just happens to be a mini sound level meter, standard ST-95. Okay, pretty much reading directly from the spec sheet. Frequency range is 31.5 hertz to 8 kilohertz. The frequency is measured in A-weighted and C-weighted. More on this later. As quoted from the instructions, accuracy is 3 dB under reference conditions of 94 decibels at 1 kilohertz. So it's not a percentage over a broad range of frequencies. They played a frequency at 1000 hertz at 94 decibels and it was within 3 decibels. This has to do with the A-weighted filter. Again, more on this later. The full decibel range is 35 to 130. There is a range feature which measures between certain decibels. The low is 35 decibels to 80, medium 50 to 100, high 80 to 130. And then obviously an auto feature which measures the full range, 35 to 130, which is what I'll be using most of the time. It has a 1/2-inch Electra condenser microphone. The Electra is to do with that power, phantom power. You don't need 48 volts. Condenser microphones usually need 48 volts. But anyway, it has the quarter 20 UNC thread for the camera tripods and so forth, which I really, really like. 4-digit LCD display, updates 2 times every second. The power button default is set to auto power off, which switches off after 10 minutes. But if you do a long hold, it'll stay on forever. Uses a 9-volt battery and has a low voltage indicator. Use it within a temperature range of 0 to 40 degrees. Otherwise, it'll melt. Weighs 184 grams, a bit under half a pound for you American guys. Has Bluetooth. Connects to a free app called MeterBox Pro. It actually looks really good, this app. It's a universal app for various instruments like thermometers and laser measurers and etc., multimeters. You can plot graphs on it, a bunch of other stuff. I haven't used it and, I've just quickly flicked through it. Looks all right, looks very good, but I don't really have an opinion apart from that. Here you can see me pointing out the A and the C weighting. That's the button that sort of changes between the two. This is a thing that I had, I guess, a problem just for me. But anyway, the size is 184 millimeters by 54 by 36 millimeters. which is roughly 7¼ inches by 2⅛ inches by 1½ inches for you American guys, has a min-max feature, which only shows a low or high reading rather than a real-time reading. Great if you want to sort of see a peak volume or a min volume or something silly like that. Now, that's all that's written down on the instructions of the ST-95. It is now later, and I need to explain this ANC weighting feature. It's something I didn't want to get into, but I need to touch upon because if you're measuring the loudness of sounds, you need to be aware of this. It's based on equal loudness contour, and this has to do with different frequencies played at different levels of decibels actually sound the same to the human ear. They're perceived to be the same level of volume. If you have a look at this graph, this red line, just consider as a standard value. It has no actual decibel meaning, but we'll just consider it for argument's sake as being 100 decibels. This is dBz, so there won't be any variation in the actual decibel range across the frequency spectrum. So from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, there's no drop in decibels. It's actually exactly the same. Now, if you have a look at this bluish curve here, the dBA, this is what's considered as how the human ear hears. So in the lower frequencies, it's not as sensitive. It doesn't hear these frequencies very well. So if we play a sound at 100 hertz, there's actually quite a big difference in perceived volume. Does that make sense? I'm hoping it does. This is dBz, so natural sounds as it's played, but this is how we hear it. It drops by quite a bit. Now, as I said, this graph is not drawn to scale. It's just to give you an idea that there is quite a bit of a difference as you go further down the frequency spectrum. Now, same at the other end, but it's not so drastic. If you have a look, the curve's just slight. Now, just quickly touching on the dBc, it's very similar. In the sense of you can see that it picks up these sounds between here and here quite well and just tapers a little bit off at either end. dBA is the human hearing, the human ear. dBc is more focused on very loud and low frequency noises. It hears sort of down here. But yeah, hopefully that touches just briefly on it without sort of going too much into depth. Okay. Now, the places that dBAs and dBc is used, the actual weighting, dBA is generally a work safety thing or a consumer product thing. You'll find them on chainsaws and power tools and that sort of thing. Also, car noises. If you happen to, throw a decent exhaust on your car and it's over a certain dBA volume, and then, the coppers won't like it too much, I guess. dBc, it's generally sort of, as I said, for loud, bassy sort of noises. It might be used to govern concerts and music venues. So therefore, windows aren't rattling across the suburbs and all that sort of business. But yeah, that's what they're used for. That's enough of the technical side of things. I'll have dedicated videos regarding sound and other concepts, human hearing, and I'll go into great detail of dBA, C and Z and all the rest of it. Here I've got the missus's iPad. I've downloaded an app. It's just a decibel meter, fairly straightforward. It has, frequencies and all that sort of business. I'm tapping around just to sort of, see the difference between the two. Straight out of the box, the app's fairly good. It's quite accurate. It shows, the spectrum range and what's actually happening. Here I'm on a calibration page, and that's the issue. I can calibrate this to something. I need a sound meter to calibrate the iPad to make sure it's accurate. I can adjust it up and down and fiddle around. So basically comparing the two is pointless because I need the sound meter to calibrate it too. And I sort of get the adjustment up and down. I'm trying to get it fairly close. And once you get it close, the meters read pretty much identical. The up and down, as you can see, I'm sort of trying to get it exactly. And once I get it close, it's pretty good. The numbers match fairly well. There is a thing in here to do with time waiting. I won't get into that at all. I basically set the iPad up to be the same as the meter. It reads twice a second. But the iPad has an option of having fast. So when I set it to fast, you can see the numbers flicking all over the place. It's like a multiple sample every second. But it's a pointless sort of idea. Okay, here I am sawing a piece of wood with an electric saw. It's quite a big saw, so it's quite loud. Jumps straight up to 90 decibels even before I start cutting. It's a little bit louder when I cut and goes up a couple of decibels. And just to be trying to be fair, I cut the same amount of wood off. That's why I'm just putting it up here. So that way there's no, extra length of wood to affect, the tone or anything like that. Now, it's not perfect, but it gives you an idea of what's loud. A circular saw or a saw like this is actually fairly loud. In a workplace, you'd have to wear hearing protection. This here is actually quite good. This turned out very well, and it's going to show the A and C weighting quite well. Here I'm playing 40 hertz at 60 decibels. I haven't changed anything. No volume, no nothing. The C weighting measures 91. The annoying sound of 400 hertz, 99. A weighting, you sort of see me flicking through and just showing you. Again, sorry about that absolutely annoying noise. Now, there is some fluctuations in the actual sound, and that's my hand coming between the speaker and the phone, the actual recording. So it just shows you how sensitive sound is. A hand moving in front of a microphone obviously affects the level of sound. This is a screenshot of me editing this video. The red arrows point out the variation. It's very obvious once I send it in the video editing software. As for when I was doing it, I could not hear any variation whatsoever. Okay, this is just me talking, how to talk to people on down the street. There's no real extra volume in my voice. That's that weighting. I am standing approximately 1.3 meters away, or 4 foot 3 inches for you American guys. This is me talking again with the other weighting. No extra sound, no extra volume. I know it's not scientific, but it should be pretty close to give you an idea. Okay, final thoughts. This certainly wasn't a scientific test. I didn't have another decibel meter to compare it to. I have no way of saying how accurate it is. Compared to the iPad, again, back to that iPad needed calibrating, and there's no definitive way of saying how accurate this thing is, apart from the spec sheet. And from what I've measured, it seems to work extraordinarily well. It does the job that it's supposed to. When I was using the sound meter and testing it with the test tones, the variation in decibels was pretty much spot on to what it should be. The variation between A and C weighting was pretty much bang on. Like, it was very good, which sort of proves that the meter itself is accurate. But again, I don't have like a $10,000 sound meter to compare it to see if there's, if that's fractionally off. In my hands, the way it actually feels like quality. The buttons are very tactile. You know how you buy them cheap TVs and it gets you get that remote, and it's just as heavy as the batteries that you're putting into it. These buttons feel good quality. The whole thing feels solid. I paid 80 or 70 or 80 Australian dollars for it. And I certainly don't feel like I got ripped off. I got my money's worth. As I said, the only thing that I wasn't aware of is it doesn't measure Z-weighted decibels. I can certainly work around that. So I'm very happy with the purchase, especially for the price. I am not affiliated with the company that made this product or the business that sold it to me. I paid for this sound level meter with my own money, and any and all opinions are mine. I am also not a qualified audio technician or engineer. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the day.